Hello, we're back. It's
Great to be back out, and this is going to be another short video, isn't it? What are we going to be talking about?
Yeah, short and sweet, but it's going to be packed full of information. So we've just done a video on the end of round one, sort of early round two running backs that you're going to pick from.
Yeah, it was good.
We've got a similar thing for the wide receivers here.
Okay, similar numbers.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking Julio Jones,
Yep.
AJ Green, Devontae Adams, and Mike Evans.
Fascinating.
Four. You know, some players that are
fringe
ascending
first,
and some are descending.
Second. Yeah, interesting that. Yeah.
So let's talk through Julio.
Well,
what are the pros and cons of Julio?
We always know he's going to give you 1,400 yards. He's done it for the last 4 years. I mean, there's no reason to doubt him. I still believe he's the main weapon in Atlanta, irrespective of Devontae Freeman's return, which I'm sure he will return this year. He's still the guy that they're going to go to. The problem is he just doesn't get the touchdowns. Last year, 3. It wasn't like I was shocked, to be honest. I mean, that's the worst thing. Should he get 6 or 7? Probably should do. But when you add it all together, 1,400 yards and another 30 points, that's 170 for a first round potential talent. You're 30 off the pace straight away before you even get to your next pick. That worries me a lot. You could be chasing massively because you and I both know that 1 or 2 missteps for points, and not only are you behind point scorers, but that difference of a few points either way can be the difference of a win here and a win there. And
he's quite inconsistent as well.
Very. You highlighted brilliantly.
So he can be infuriating to own. So we've got the guaranteed yards. I guess 1,400 years, 4 years in a row tells its own story.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's 140 points right there, isn't it?
Just want. I mean, he's never ever got more than 6 touchdowns.
And for a man of his talent,
I mean, it's worrying, isn't it? I mean,
and he's not getting any younger either.
I think it was the average we worked out was 5.5 when we looked at this.
That's poor for a man of his calibre, isn't it?
He's a very good player, and I don't think it's his fault. And he may be at the door right now, which is good news. So we'll see.
It's not him.
See what happens.
Okay, the next player we're going to talk about is AJ Green.
Yep.
Obviously, he's been pretty decent for the last 3 or 4 years. Fell away at the end of last year, which means his ADP has dropped a lot this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what are the pros and cons of AJ Green? Would you say that?
Well, I think there are some definite pros. I mean, the first thing is that the running game. The first time they've had a potential running game for a while, it's always been a bit of a mixture of a backfield. I think we now have a stable number 1 in Joe Mixon, and I think that will open up the game a bit more for AJ Green. I think Dalton is a little bit in the descendancy. He's heading down the charts, but that doesn't mean he doesn't offer value. I think he does this year. AJ Green has been banged up the last couple of years. That's my worry with him. That's my big knock with AJ Green. I think the talent's undeniably still there.
Julio got banged up as well, didn't he?
He did, yeah. But I think it was more prominent with what's been happening to AJ Green, and we've noticed that in decline of stats for up until the last couple of years. His numbers had always been solid.
Can he bounce back this year?
It's possible, but I do worry.
Are you worried about the team more than the talent?
I'm worried about the coach.
Yeah,
that rules the team. If I'm
I
being
think
honest.
that's fair. Actually,
I don't think the coach does enough to promote when it's applicable the right players. When your rookies are ready to go, he tends to wait, and then by the time he starts them, it's too late for them to have an effect on the outcome of the season. I mean, I'm amazed he's still got a job.
Well, it was pretty heavily rumoured that he was going to be, got rid of at the end of last year, but he's still there.
It's hanging on by a thread. I did an article on Joe Mixon's time, or it should have been Joe Mixon time, but it never happened till late in the season, really, and I think it's a shame. I think Green can benefit from Mixon, and I think Dalton definitely benefits when you've got that kind of more open game. Having Giovanni Bernard come back will also open the game up a bit more for them all.
Well, they've improved the O-line now because they lost a couple of pieces last year.
Yeah, very good point. So there's a lot to like, but it's still Green. I've seen a couple of red flags around him, and that is why I'm very wary of touching him this year. I've got to be honest. He is one of them players I'm kind of very hesitant to even pull the trigger on once.
Okay.
So far, which is worrying because he's probably good value, but I just can't quite see it myself.
Well, the next player we're going to talk about is Devontae Adams. He's climbing ADPs, probably rightly so. He's Aaron Rodgers' number 1 wide receiver.
Stratospheric climb to the top. I mean, what's the guy capable of this year? I mean, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. I think that's unless injury comes, that's a given. That means he's a legit number 1 target. So he definitely has top 5 wide receiver upside. Could he do more? Absolutely. He could have another 200 yards on that. He could have another 5 scores.
The only small blemishes you could say against him, he's had, I think he's had 4 concussions now.
Yeah.
And they take this very seriously these days, and rightly so. So another one like that, and that could potentially...
You raise the perfect red flag, yeah. I mean, I think there's another one as well. It's a subtle one, but it's a good one. Obviously, we know that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and you could literally throw to me. and I don't catch particularly brilliantly. I've
seen that.
Poor catching today, but Rodgers is very good. So if we look at the number 2, which is supposedly Randall Cobb, I've got reservations around Cobb, and his ability to do what he should do to protect Adams worries me. So he should be a guy who takes the underneath stuff, lets Adams do his thing when he's over the middle or over the longer distances. I think Cobb's marketable, and that worries me a lot with this offense. Now, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers can't get the ball into any of these players. Of course he can.
He's elite.
But there's the running game issue, so you've got the problem at running back. So you're right to raise the red flags. I mean, I believe in Devontae Adams. I really do. I absolutely trust him. If he's there, I wouldn't. There will be situations I would take him.
But Rodgers has picked up a few injuries in the last 4 years. He missed a lot last year. And
there's
a couple
question
of years
marks.
ago, he missed a few games.
There's definite question marks around this situation that can't be answered.
But it's a good situation in general.
Yeah, I don't mind Adams at all as a wide receiver. In this group, he probably is the one to own out of the 4 without a question, I think.
Okay, the last person on the list, Mike Evans, obviously had a good year a couple of years ago. Last year he fell off a bit. Some very inconsistent play from Jameis Winston, who's also banned for 3 games.
It is interesting because I looked at a little deeper with Jameis Winston recently, where I looked at his last 9 games before obviously us finding out about his ban, and had a look at that. And if you extrapolate those 9 games, and if he continued at that pace, then he would have easily had close to 5,000 yards throwing the ball. Now, he didn't start that way. He started off very poorly at the beginning last year. This affected Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is being a bit disrespected in ADP charts, and therefore, by definition, it's value. It's great value for drafters. So, I mean, Mike Evans is really, really good value. Also, I think what plays into Mike Evans' hands this season is there is no Jameis Winston in the first 3 weeks. So that means that probably Fitzpatrick, who I absolutely hate for a reason called 6 interceptions.
That's why I like him.
He will probably get the nod because he's the more seasoned professional. He will come in. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do a good job. Quarterback wouldn't trust him, but what I will say is he will target Mike Evans consistently, and that means his value will go
whether
up.
He hits him or not.
Whether he'll throw a lot to him, and that can only mean the guy will come down.
Fitzmagic's a minus as well, really, isn't he?
Yeah, but I do like the fact that Mike Evans is really good value in the second round, and I think a lot of people who are kind of 0 RB drafters, and there are a lot of disciples of that technique, and I can see the reasons why, will look at Mike Evans as a very nice second to have with their first. So I get it.
Okay, so we've got Julio, AJ Green, Adams, and Evans. Which one would you?
Well, for me, it's Adams at the top of the tree.
So Adams number 1.
He absolutely has everything you're looking for. I personally think that the next guy that should go up on it has to probably be Evans, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then I'm going to put Julio and AJ Green last, which might surprise people, but the reason I've got AJ Green last is just there are just a few more red flags than Julio. At least Julio will consistently get you the yards, even though it'll be infuriating when those points come. AJ Green also had his injuries last year, as Al raised. There are inconsistencies in the team, and there are a lot of question marks, and for those reasons, those would be my 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, if you look at the quarterbacks thrown to him, Adams, I can see why he's number 1. You've got Aaron Rodgers thrown to him.
Yeah.
Mike Evans is going to have Fitzmagic thrown to him for 3 games, and a very inconsistent Winston thrown.
Well, he's proved how elite he is with these things against him. So it's a bit like DeAndre Hopkins. He can still produce. I think he didn't get as many touchdowns, but he's certainly capable of them, which Julio Jones just isn't.
Well, he is, but he just doesn't.
Yeah. Whereas I think Evans can and probably will. So
4 years of watching Julio tells us that the touchdowns just aren't there.
No.
Maybe it'll change this
year.
And
Green, we all know Green is capable. We know that, and he can score touchdowns, and we know he can dominate games. We know all those things, but I am slightly concerned
about Andy Dalton.
Very concerned about him.
Well, there you go. We'd love to hear what you think again. Again, Sean's gone for probably the 3rd in the ADP list of them lot. So
I don't. Tend
and then
to,
the bottom.
It's always about. In my view, it's always about taking.
Yeah, you've got to take
risk.
The players you like, haven't you? So
not everybody will think that way, and they may, like Al said, raise a flag against Adams, and rightly so. Maybe that is the clever play.
Is there any reasoning we've missed as well? Is there anything that have we missed something that you think? Well, actually, you haven't even mentioned this. Or,
as the schedule.
We'd love to hear that. That's the sort of thing.
We do like your advice, and we do take it on board. So thank you for those that comment.
Okay, and. Again, thanks very much for watching. If you like it, leave a thumbs up, and if you subscribe, then we'd love that as well. Thanks very much.